Andrew, how you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you, Ian? You okay?
Yeah, good. I think it's two Brits. We have to start the conversation to how's the weather in London?
Do you know, I was just thinking, I hesitate to ask you how it is in Switzerland because it might not be all that great. So, I mean, it's been really strange here. We had hot days and we have flash floods. We have had some mild flooding dotted about London. Fortunately, I'm all right here in the south, but it's been a bit wild further
Yeah,
into the city. How about yourself? What's going on that side?
yeah, same. Had my bit of flooding as well, and
Hmm.
there we go. Things are a little bit,
Hmm. Hmm.
a bit crazy. So, from Henry, instruction we're to have a bit of a couple of
Yeah.
guys down the pub over a pint chat about everything that's guest facing tech.
Well, that sounds great. You know, I haven't been to the pub for a while, so I'll meet you in a sec, or right
Yeah,
here. Okay, okay,
we'll have to do that afterwards. Um,
okay. Yeah,
yeah, interesting. And one thing to be interested to find out from you, just to kick it off. Obviously, with the whole COVID thing going on and hotels opening, closing, and all the stuff you got,
mm.
have you seen any differences in guest behavior and wants and needs and interaction with tech from the guests?
Yeah, we have, and I suppose, I mean, it's been a confused marketplace for a while. Just COVID, no COVID, but I think COVID's just kind of notched that up quite a bit. I suppose what my challenge here right now today is which of these technologies are flashes in the pan and which have changed forever and are going to stick around. So which are the things that if we invest in today, 12 months from now, they're going to not be relevant and we've potentially wasted our money, versus which things are here to stay from COVID and we should be investing in them because they're going to be useful for us for years to come. So I suppose at the moment, my thought is, what were the things that were kind of happening anyway, but have just been speeded up by COVID, versus what are those things that people have sort of rushed out and bought, clutching at straws, and might not be with us in 12 months' time. So in a way, the ways in which guests have changed their interactions with us, with technology, us through technology, some highlight examples, the QR code menus. Everyone's got them. Is it something that guests really want, or is it that's just going to be gone in 12 months time? I suppose the good thing about QR code menus is that they're cheap / free and it's quite easy. So it's one of those things you might shrug your shoulders and say, well, we might as well have it anyway. But certainly I'm in no hurry to replace the theatre of a big leather bound wine list with a QR code that's similar to the ones that you see in a fast food restaurant, so to speak. So yeah, the things that were happening anyway, guest chats via an app, that there are certain brands, hotel brands, bigger companies that were doing that anyway, and it was quite successful. I think that is definitely a travel, and that's something that's going to stick around with us for a while. We've seen a lot more desire for that. We've seen a lot more desire for people are quite COVID conscious, it seems. People want to know what our COVID policies are and how often the rooms are cleaned and so on and so on. Hopefully, we'll see the back of that quite soon. So I think, yeah, to answer your question as it was put there, we have seen a lot of change, but the thing here is which is change that's going to remain, that's permanent, that's going to be scalable and develop, versus which are the things that are going to subside. And people won't be asking questions about COVID consciousness, and our COVID policies and so on, if all of us are sitting here today thinking that COVID is going to become a thing of the past in due course. So
Yeah,
that's my challenge at the moment, and I dare say a lot of people are feeling the same sort of thing.
but I'm actually on your example of starting that one on QR. I'm convinced that QR, because it's quick, it's easy, both for you
Right.
guys to implement and for the guests. I think people are just going to become so used to it. And COVID's kicked it on. And as you said, if I'm in your hotel in Geneva, yeah, but I would expect the theatre of, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But if we went down the pub or something, and a quick QR scan, or I was in an economy hotel, I can't see any issue with that going forward. And I think just the whole thing of convenience kicks in.
I think you're probably right, Ian, to be honest. Yes, I think we just need to accept the general direction of travel might very well be that way, and we'll have to find that natural theatre through other channels and touch points with the guest. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. I suppose at the moment, QR code menus have been around for donkey's years, but they haven't really changed a great deal. It's still quite a static menu. And in my mind, go on, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and completely agree that most have just like triggered it to download a PDF or something, or a progressive web app. But what if you start saying, okay, no, I can do this QR code, and I make it more dynamic, and I can now start doing upselling techniques through that, and you can, and then take it to a different level. Say, okay, I've just done a wine inventory. I've got 200 bottles of whatever it is, Chateau Lafite. I need to push this. I want to get it out. And then you start doing that sort of food wine pairing promotion stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, but also, if you're using a menu on a device that's got a screen, then why aren't you having videos? Why can I not touch the button that says, get an explanation from our sommelier about this particular wine, this particular vineyard, those sorts of things, this particular vintage? The sorts of our guest demographic are probably quite likely to be that way. Not necessarily wine experts, but certainly know what they want to drink. So to me, that's kind of, well, you can't do that on a piece of paper. You can't do that in what I was saying previously, a leather-bound wine list, but you can do it on a screen. So we should be taking advantage of that.
But is that something you've spoken about with any of your guys in Red Carnation, or are you just still in sort of survival mode, trying to get through what we're going through?
It's a bit of both, to be honest. We still have some serious challenges as a business, of course we do, but we're looking for the exit here. We do have to kind of think ambitiously, and I think, from my point of view, I think the longer that we keep using that word, COVID, it starts to sound a bit like an excuse for not doing things, for not moving forwards. Now, we've taken a huge impact. Of course we have. Every hospitality business has. And if you look back to where we were 12 months ago, there was no light. But now at least we can see some way forward. So I think we need to move on. It's time to just be brave and to move on from COVID.
Going back to, already gone back to, are you saying that, do you think there needs to, or when you're looking at now what you're going to sort of budget coming out of this, are you going to be doing anything differently when it comes to guest tech, or are you sort of just going to play the safe road and not do too much?
I don't know, as we've decided whether or not we're pioneers and we're looking to be the first at doing a new thing, or if we want to see if others get success with that particular concept first. I can't really think of any. Have you got an example? Something that's a cutting edge piece, maybe.
I mean, it's a little bit linked to a discussion we had the other day, if you can remember it, when we talk about IoT stuff. And you sort of went on quite a bit about Chromecast. I mean, I'm a big believer that regardless of your a 1-2 or like you guys 5-star top level, I should be able to walk into my room wherever I'm staying, either QR Connect or however it is, or just Chromecast, and I'm just going to pick up what I'm watching on Netflix and throw it onto my TV. I think that should really become like a standard now. For me, that would be a great way to go.
Yeah, I think that's going to end up being a tech expectation, I think. I suppose my definition of a tech expectation is it going to influence a booking decision, either now or in future? And those sorts of things we absolutely should be building out for sure. So what sort of technologies are you seeing that I should be learning from you and stealing your ideas, Ian?
What am I stealing my ideas? I think the one we definitely see, and this is become saying I'm going to make it more student focused, is we are literally now just mobile everything.
Right. What sort of stuff? Because we're quite heavily mobile as well.
Yeah, but so we don't email students anymore. Basically, that's gone. All the content's online. They have all the different apps now. All the F&B reservations done through an app. Obviously, their social media, they live on that kind of stuff. But I think that the kicker is, they just have this expectation now that everything just needs to work within a millisecond.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't, and they can't connect or something, or there's problems. There's instant frustration. They've gone down to already impatient Gen Z millennials, whatever you say, down to like zero patience. But I think it's the whole. They have all their own content nowadays. They're going to want to come into a hotel, scan a QR code, my phone's link, hit Spotify, and that playlist should be up within a second. But take advantage of the great speaker set you have on the TV. So I think it's those kind of stuff that for me coming through, and then just really sort of in a way having the platform in place that then allows the guests to do in a way their own stuff on top.
And do you think there's any danger of falling into the trap of another, app oversaturation, just another app for another thing? I mean, take an airline, for example. Not that I dislike airlines at all, but I have one for an orange airline, a red airline, a white airline, a blue airline. So we're looking, I don't know about what your feel is, but we're looking to do things without an app. Now, QR code menus, of course, that works without an app. Your TV pairing works without an app. I suppose my feeling is big hotel brands can do this because they've got that sort of massive footprint. What do you think the opportunities look like for smaller brands?
I was about to say, if you ask me the question, if I was going to go stay in one of your properties, I know what from the name of the castle you have in Ireland.
Ashford, Ashford Castle.
Yeah, Ashford. We'd love to go there. Take my wife there. Would I download an app for a weekend stay? No.
Exactly. Yeah, great question. See, that's my challenge.
Yeah. If I was part of Hilton H Honors and I'm doing 40, 50, 60 nights every year, because I know what I'm getting. Yeah, so I think a little bit that's the challenge for, in a way, the smaller guys. Is, but then, is there even a point trying to pick a fight with the Hilton and Marriott's on this kind of stuff?
Is it picking a fight though? Because it's a brand like ours are very, very different than those guys. The example you used, Ashford Castle, that's a very experienced hotel. There's lots to do on property there. There's golf, fishing, boat tours, archery, clay shooting, falconry, all that sort of stuff. So that's actually probably one of our better examples where you might get an app for the weekend kind of thing, and then delete it when you. I shouldn't say that.
No, but seriously. So if I was going to go to that one, so you think like if expectation, would I then, once I've done all my falconry and all that kind of stuff, and I've been mind blown by the service that hotel's obviously giving, am I going to go back to and think, I'm now going to sit down and watch Lord of the Rings director's cut in 4K? No one's ever going to do that because it's not befitting of that property. I'd want to have the experience and be sat in the lovely bar with a nice whiskey by the fireplace kind of thing. So does tech really become sort of less important?
Cool, that's a challenge. I suppose we're quite an eclectic collection as well. So we do have, I say Ashford Castle is an experienced place, but we have safari lodges. So right there, and internet connectivity, basic internet connectivity is a challenge in some of our locations. So at that place, less is more.
Yeah, because that's the one in Botswana, isn't it?
So we've got one. Yes, there's one in Botswana, which is that's a very, very experienced location, safari lodge. But also there's another one that's quite a long way north from Cape Town, that's in the middle of nowhere as well. So it's much better in Cape Town or north of Cape Town than it is in Botswana, that's for sure. But still, the sorts of things that we consider to be normal in city locations, no. We need to just be very targeted in those sorts of locations, I think.
And one thing I've always, again, I suppose it's been a discussion that you've been having for years. Do we still provide content or not?
Right. That is something we've been discussing for years. I think back in the day, really back in the day, when I had a full head of hair, it was great. We used to sell. I'm sure we used to sell in-house movies, and we used to make some money off of it. We used to sell in-house specialist movies. We used to make a lot of money off of that too. It's just not a thing that brings any revenue anymore. And I guess you know, who gets movies first? The cinema, then airlines, then probably the big players in streaming media, Netflix, Disney, Apple. It maybe used to be the case that movies used to come straight out of the cinema and then go to hotels, and you could still sell it for 15 quid or whatever. It's history. It's not going to happen anymore. So I'm not sure that our providing the content is useful, desired. I don't think so. Not anymore. I think people are naturally going to walk into that hotel, our hotels, your hotels, with their own content. And if you've got a big 65-inch or larger TV with a great sound system that probably does exceed what they may have at home, great. That's what we're looking for now, I think. Plug your content into our delivery.
It's an off-the-cuff thing. Do you know how many movies you guys sold last month?
We've got very few venues of ours even do that anymore. So I haven't got a clue, but it certainly isn't going to be enough to make any money at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more, and what in this day and age of internet streaming and so on, which guest is actually going to pay for that? I wonder.
No. I'm already paying for my Netflix. I've got Spotify
exactly.
Premium Family, so I'll get something. I'll get some of there. I'm not going to go there and drop another. And probably you would charge me the same price for one film as what I pay for Netflix a month.
For a month, yeah, absolutely. So I think that's the way it's gone. We need to find other revenue streams. There's no money to be made in that now, so it's just the right thing. And like I said, is this now a tech expectation? Is this going to influence somebody's booking decision as to whether or not you've got that? I think the answer is yes. I think so. I think people will decide whether or not they'll stay with you based on whether or not you provide a streaming service. I also think, to add something else to the mix there, that depends a bit on the audience. Certainly, I definitely think that's true from an American audience, and I think Europe is a bit behind that tech expectation, but I think the European market will get there too.
Because are the Americans known to stream more?
Definitely. We see that in data. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't really give you an explanation for that, really, but certainly those we've got the data that supports that for sure.
Okay. Been interesting trying to find out why that. Well, it's probably they all sort of get all the gadgets before we do, so they probably had a little bit more time to play around with the stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then 2 guys down the pub. What has been your worst ever tech experience in a hotel?
Worst ever tech experience.
I've got mine. That's for sure.
Have you? Oh, geez, I'm on. That's one I'm on the spot then. So, in terms of, do you mean me as a guest?
Yeah.
Oh, me as a guest. Worst ever tech experience. I'm not sure I can easily answer that. You know, I think I've got a fairly. I think just generally speaking, missed tech expectations just never go down well with me. Any time that you've ordered something, or any time that you've made a purchase and it hasn't worked out, the linkage broken between technology platforms, for example, those sorts of things never go down well with me. It does happen from time to time. I understand that because I look after a technology infrastructure, but that's the sort of thing that makes me sad. I can remember one time booking a hotel. It was based in the UK, but I think I should probably do them the favour of not naming which one it was.
Yeah, no names.
No names. So I went to their website for a book direct and noticed that there was one room that was disproportionately cheaper than the rest. And I thought, right, I can see what's happened here. Their ideas data hasn't updated, so their rates are not what they should be because they haven't updated their ideas. Right, well, I'm going to book that, and I'm going to take advantage of their mistake. Booked it. It was a bit to do with what I said, but not the way I thought it was. It wasn't the rate, which hadn't updated correctly. on one side of the fence or the other, they'd left the date as the American format.
Ugh.
So it wasn't the 12th of the 2nd, it was the 2nd of the 12th. And so I'd been offered the rate for that date. So quite literally, when I showed up to the hotel and said, what are you talking about? Here's my reservation here. There was a lot of embarrassment at the front desk. Okay, what are we going to do with this? This guy's reservation isn't for 2 months, but it says the date, but it's in the American format. So, yeah. So that's the best I think I can do on the spot there, Ian. Go on then. You said you had one. Let's have yours.
So that one you just said that, I had that on an airline. Yeah. And I turned up at Geneva Airport to fly for a conference, and they said, "Nope, you're not on the flight." And it was actually lucky there was space, and they put me on. No, I had one. It was actually a hospa. And I'm not going to say which hotel. And I couldn't, no names. I couldn't turn the light off in the room, so I actually ended up unscrewing the light bulb.
My gosh, does that count as technology?
I don't know, but it was just literally there's so many light switches. So anyway, unscrewed it, and I went down for breakfast. And I don't forget, and I sat at breakfast, and Ted Horner was there. I said, "Ted, I've got to admit something." He's gone. I said, "I couldn't turn my lights off last night. Is it just me?" He goes, "Oh, mate, me neither." And this suddenly became like a whole topic of discussion over breakfast about how complicated the lights had got. No, just really use that one as an example. Then what you said, sometimes, we try and overcomplicate things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And maybe just something, just get the basics right.
I got smacked down to earth once when I was brand new into hotels. It was kind of, I'd been in IT for a long time, but not necessarily in hospitality. So I came into a situation with a sense of naivety where I was thinking, right, technology, everything. And another, a counterpart for a different hotel brand brought me smack down to earth once when I'd sort of floated the idea of my plans and so on. And this person struck their chin and said, "It's not going to work. I'll tell you why. Because I've just arrived in town. I don't speak the language. I'm jet lagged. I've got a banknote in my pocket that I don't recognize. I don't know if I buy a car or a newspaper with that. I walk into my hotel room. I just want to press the button that's by the door and the light turns on." And yeah, the simplicity of it. Okay. Yeah, I have it. I had exposed myself as the new person in town with my proposal. Right, so it's my turn. What's your best technology experience? Let's not focus on the worst.
Ooh. I mean, I've got my best overall hotel experience, but that's
okay.
I did.
We'll talk about that offline then.
Yeah.
Anniversary coming up.
Then I'm going to go with Citizen M.
Okay, go on. Let's talk about that. Why? What was so great about that, and what can we learn from it?
Firstly, I think the whole part of choice is great. I'm a big believer in giving guests choice. So when you walk in, if you want to check yourself in at the kiosk and do it yourself, go ahead. Now, of course, there's the app as well. If you want somebody to check you in with you, they'll be there and do that. I think that's great. The in-room tech just works. Mood lighting is just fun. It's cool. The TV content is great. No, and I think it's, obviously, these guys are good at what they do, but I think it's just, for me, it's that notion of, it's just fun. It works. The casting worked to the TV.
Right.
And I like the overall concept as well. The people. It's not sort of over the top, but then of course I can imagine if it was you now, if you went back to your guy and said, okay, now in our wonderful Castle Resort over in Ireland, we're now going to do check-in kiosk, and imagine if you put it up to some of your sort of higher up people, they'd be, oh my, thank you, Andrew, thank you so much for being with us. We wish you well. That would be a bit of a massive misfit, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah. I think you tread the tightrope here. The technology and the technology enablement level and the guest touch and so on all has to match with the brand. Absolutely, it does. You've got everything all the way from W, which is funky, fashionable lifestyle kind of thing, right the way down to, well, frankly, maybe us, where things are a bit more twee and a bit more traditional. That's not to say that we can't introduce technology as an absolute underpinning of the guest offering. It's just not as obvious. And I think there's something quite sublime about that, being able to do it in such a way that it doesn't detract from the guest experience of that hotel's particular brand, our hotel's particular brand, but it augments it in a way that's almost transparent. You don't necessarily even notice that it's there or that it's happening. You just kind of, your tech expectations are met. And to just coin your phrase, it just works and it fits with the overall hotel personality.
All right, then. So what if I throw you a curveball? I said, okay, you've got your Hotel d'Angleterre in Geneva.
Yep.
Beautiful property, Lakeview.
Very nice.
Been
Lovely,
there,
yeah.
perfect. And you start seeing a part of your guests are your 35-year-old Geneva private banker pulls up outside in his Porsche. He's on his phone. He just wants to go straight to his room and doesn't want to do the whole reception, check-in, filling in the forms. Do you think there you'd have an argument and say, okay, for a certain part of my guests, because he can afford our property, he wants to stay on our property, he likes the lake view, he loves the valley service, and either mobile or kiosk for those parts of your guests who want it? Do you think you'd have an argument there?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've got an argument there. The thing I've said throughout the pandemic, motivated by the pandemic, but something that I'll try to take forward is that you never know who's going to walk through your door. You think you do, but actually any kind of person might come into your property. So my take is try within reason, obviously within reason, not to go crazy. Try to cater for as many of those people as you possibly can within reasonable amount of cost, risk, etc. And people will just naturally gravitate towards the one they want. If you don't want to be roomed in our 5-star hotels and you don't want the turn down service and you don't want the welcome drink and all the hospitality that we offer on arrival, if you want to be discreet and just go straight to your room, well then, if that's what you want, you'll just naturally head in that direction as long as there's a platform that will carry it for you.
Yeah.
But if you know, just because it's there doesn't mean that you have to use it. You can still come to the check-in desk and go through the rigmarole and you know, if it's a special occasion, of course you're going to want that, or probably you're going to want that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of traveller do you think you are?
Oh, I'm Mr. Convenient.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah,
me as well. And so it's very hard for me to think about people who are less so. I naturally would.
Yeah, I don't know, if it's me traveling on my own for a conference or a business, whatever, I'm Mr. Efficient. I'm going to straight to my room. I will literally put the do not disturb sign on my door as soon as I'm there. Leave me alone, kind of thing.
In and out.
If I'm taking the wife away somewhere for a nice weekend, that's obviously something different. You know, there you.
So you're a chameleon.
Yeah. If it's me on my own, so I'll go in air conditioning, 17 degrees, nice and chilled. So yeah, but then flip side of that, the best hotel experience I ever had all came down to the staff service.
Right. Was it one of
even
ours?
Though no, haven't actually stayed in one of yours actually.
Well, then I reckon. Right, and I challenge you. We're going to beat this experience. Go on, tell us though. What was the how was it? What was the experience? And was there a technology underpinning?
Just amazing. It was at the time it was a Mandarin. It was the Dara Devi in Chiang Mai.
Oh yeah,
and just the most amazing staff. But I think that also had a lot to do with the Thai culture coming in. You know, they just nailed everything. But that was, but again, zero tech or minimal techer.
Yeah.
You're in Chiang Mai. You're in a resort hotel, so that was something different.
I see. Interesting. So a less is more situation then for those guys.
Yeah. Don't know if this is a biggie or not. I don't know if you've heard it around a little bit. Will 5G be the end of Wi-Fi?
That is a really, really challenging question, and I'm still not decided where I sit on this particular one, because you know, here in London, for example, I've seen over 400 meg to one single user. Well, geez, I mean, if we wanted to be able to offer that sort of performance to each of our individual users, there's a few ways to achieve that. cheat and use proxy and caching services and so on, or local publish services, or spend an absolute ton of money, and for what? So I think at the moment, where we are at the moment, certainly speaking about the US traveler and the UK and Europe and so on, the US don't really enjoy inexpensive / free roaming at the moment. And I do wonder, are we at the point now, what's the material difference between 100 meg and 400 meg? I know it's nice to show off, but
pointless.
You're not going to watch your Netflix video at 4 times the speed, are you? Like, you're not going to watch it in 4 times fast forward. So if you can still, you know, if the ends are still met, I suppose it's like having, you know, if you've got a car that does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds versus a car that does 0 to 60 in 1 second, materially, what's the difference? It's not really going to make a huge amount of difference. And as long as we can still offer in hotel experiences, I think Wi-Fi's got some time to run. I suppose if you ask me on a different day of the week, I might have a different answer, because I'm still not really sure myself what this might mean for us all. But as long as we're still offering.
Yeah, I mean, seeing what you said, I had a phone call from my internet provider here at home the other day. He said, you're on the 500 meg offer. Do you want to go up to a gig? And I was like, no. He's like, we've got this super offer for you. It's only like an extra 10 francs a month. I'm just like, no. And he's a bit so super. I said, I don't need it. I said, you know, even if the 3 of us at home are all on Netflix, you know, or if I got the PlayStation on, even if I had 100, that would be plenty good enough.
Exactly.
But we do. So, yeah, so I think it's, you know, all these speeds that they're saying is just complete. Because how much do you need to watch Netflix? They're saying 2.5, isn't it?
I don't really know. I don't know the book speed that they publish, to be perfectly honest. But we'd never have an issue with it. Yeah. Never ever.
I think I saw somewhere, if it's just normal content, it's 2.5, and if it's a 4K thing, you can go up to 10. They said that'll work perfectly fine.
Okay, well then, do we need 400 meg?
No. If you're a serious gamer, maybe. But then how many people will go to a Red Carnation Hotel and unpack their PS5?
I mean, you never know who walks through those doors. It seems unlikely to me, but I'm not sure that's our audience draw at the moment. But, you know, in due course, there'll be 8K and 16K, and, you know, qualities will ratchet up and so on. But then so too will we ratchet up our wireless services, and generally the direction of travel of pricing is ever downwards. You know, if I knew 10 years ago we'd be paying the costs that we are currently paying for our circuits, you know, we were paying several times that 10 years ago. So by those numbers, we could be paying the same now for a service that's 10 times better in a few years.
Yeah, but what you just said, I mean, 8K, okay, fine. 8K will happen, that's for certain. The TV people will push that because they can just ship more TVs. It's always content. How many people are going to check out of one of your hotels and go, that 8K content was actually really enjoyable. Thank you for that. Would that be some kind of guest feedback you'll get?
No. I don't think so.
No.
Again, it's probably just a tech expectation, and I suppose the danger with tech expectations is, well, there's a couple of dangers. I think, you know, my definition of a tech expectation is a piece of technology which will influence a purchasing decision. I will not stay at that hotel if they don't meet the tech expectation. So I suppose 2 dangers, almost opposite to each other. Thing number 1, do you need to exceed a tech expectation? So if the tech expectation is, I want to be able to watch my 4K Netflix, or I want to be able to download something at 100 meg, is there any point spending the extra gosh knows how much money on making it not 100 meg but 200 meg? Well, the guest is already staying with you and their tech expectation has already been met and they've already made their purchasing decision. They'll probably stay again. So do you need to spend all that money to exceed a tech expectation? Probably not, and it could become a dangerous money pit. then you've almost got the exact opposite of that, which is if you have a expectation which is published, so right, we at this hotel, this is what we do, and it doesn't work, then you'll probably never see that guest again, because they possibly made a purchasing decision based on your meeting their expectation. You failed and they're not coming back. And I think that's as important as poor customer service these days. You know, if a member of staff doesn't treat them well, or forgets their order, or is rude to them or whatever, that guest is probably not coming back. And if the tech fails, they're probably not coming back.
Get that, couldn't agree more. But then if I was to flip that and say, okay, but what if you took that and said, okay, based upon that, we're going to get, and fully agree, the basics right.
Yeah.
But does that not stop you then sometimes trying out new things and trying to push a little bit where you are with the tech, and maybe putting some stuff out there that the guest hasn't been expecting?
Well, I suppose there's two threads to that suggestion. There's thing number one, which is the same technology, but better, faster, bigger. And that's the thing I would say you probably don't need to exceed, and you don't need to overinvest and overspend, versus something brand new, something that potentially gives a tech wow. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. So something that the guest has potentially never seen before, or you're a pioneer of the technology, your hotel is pioneering this technology. Those are the sorts of things that, honestly, sometimes you just have to take a punt on. You know, build a proof of concept and test out something brand new, and you really don't know what the result is going to be. You can get a fairly good idea through your data, through your intelligence. But will it really work with our audience in this hotel? Not sure. We need to try it. Yeah.
I was thinking before you started having a chat with Henry, something over said, I can't remember if I sent it to you, Sync Tuition, which like this wellness app, and they've built like this mind spa cabin where you go and you have your zero gravity seat, and it's all like this immersive 3D experience. It's like a tech spa,
right?
You know, I just think, you know, stuff like that sometimes is a little bit different, a little bit cool. You said, you know, this, yeah, we still need to prove a concept, and, you know, would that work everywhere? Maybe, maybe not. But it's been interesting to see as we go forward how far, if we go back into another COVID angle, what's going to change again. Because I know all you guys have just been basically trying to cut costs wherever you can, save money. But I don't think that's going to be tenable. But there we go.
Yeah, well, we need to, yes, absolutely. You know, recovering from COVID, it's going to take years. We might as well just say it like it is. We've got to mend the roof now. We've got some things that we need to address that weren't addressed or weren't addressed properly over the last 18 months. But we also do need to be ambitious here, because there's potentially an oversupply problem. So we're going to need to be sure that when that feeding frenzy comes, we do have a USP that's going to win that business, actually win new business. Always harder than getting return business, as we all know, of course. So we're going to need to balance this quite delicately going forward. We need to mend the roof, and we need to manage our risks, and we need to do all the stuff that we should have been doing anyway, to the standards that we should be keeping. But also, we've got to try to attach some kind of guest win to that. Otherwise, it's potentially, what you don't want to do is to have really, really high costs that are really, really important and make absolutely no difference to the guest experience, because those are the sorts of costs right now, we just find very, very hard to tolerate. So whatever it is that we need to fix now, we also need to find some way of translating that into a guest win. So, you know, through staff experience, automation, that sort of thing, will free up our staff time so that they're more available to service guests. So that's the sort of thing where you might have to do a piece of work, but there is a guest win available if you visualize it, make it really real.
No, plus maybe we've seen quite a lot of reports. Well, it's dying down now about, you know, when the hotels and restaurants reopened, they couldn't get staff to come back to work. I know it's been a problem over here in Switzerland. You know, people are like, you know, you're at home, you're getting 80% of your salary. Thank you very much for doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So that may be a discussion for another day where how can tech solve that?
How can tech solve that? Yeah. Doing more with less is a bit of a buzz phrase at the moment.
Yeah.
Is that one that's going to stay with us, or do we need to address a staffing issue through conventional people and culture channels, or, as I suspect, is it actually a bit of both? I think we need to take a look at the industry as a whole, and something that technology hasn't necessarily been too much the best about traditionally is really integrating with our colleagues cross-functionally. How much does technology really support the people and culture effort? Well, we need to look at that, actually. I'm not sure I can answer that one way or the other, but we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and just decide, are we supporting the business in the best ways that we can, facing today's challenges post-COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that,
so what about?
I was going to say that actually might be a good chat for us after the summer to look at that and take that whole sort of employee angle, because it's I think if you can turn to any hotel and say, with tech I can take 10% off your staff costs, they will literally turn and say, okay, tell me more.
Well, that's one way of saying it, but the other way, the way that I prefer to say it, 10% off your staff costs, yes, that's one angle. Another angle is 10% more on your staff available time. Because there's certain challenges that we can't, there's certain things that technology just cannot and won't ever be able to do. Technology can't make a guest feel, like not really feel looked after. I mean, it's all very, it's a conduit to that, of course it is, but the real human nature thing. So my response to the business really is, right, let me take away the things that a machine can do so that you, the human, can do things that machines can't do. And you're not sitting there doing things that automation can do. So then suddenly, if you win back 10% of your day, if everyone wins back 10% of their days, you've suddenly won back 10% of your staff. Yeah. So when are you coming to the UK then, Ian?
Oof, no idea.
Now that you're allowed, as of Monday, by the way.
Sorry?
You might have caught the news there. As of Monday, you'll be allowed as long as you've been vaccinated fully. Yeah,
I've been vaccinated, double jabbed, but
right,
no, so I need to get over to the UK because I've got major issues. I've ran out of mustard.
That is a major issue.
Yeah, and my Branson's getting low, so I need to do some stocking up, but not for now. And I'm off to southwest of France next week for a couple of weeks, sat in a little house with a pool. Just to,
very good.
So I'm afraid no hotels this time around. Just a little bit of peace.
Well, yeah, it was at an Airbnb. I'm not sure we can approve of that.
I know, but not my choice. I blame the wife.
Andrew, she's not here to.
Sorry? She's not here to defend us off.
Not there to defend us off.
There you go. Andrew, listen, that was fun. Thanks for the chat.
We're out of time. Gosh, that's flashed past.
Yeah, that's gone quick. But I think that the whole tech and staffing one, let's say that one for when we can meet up in the pub and have a pint.
I very much look forward to that. Yep, we have lots and lots to talk about over the next short stint, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Challenges ahead for us all.
Have a good summer.
Likewise, Ian. Great to chat. See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.